I was still holding the keys when my phone lit up with her text. Can't talk. Meeting. Love you. Funny how love can sound like poison when you know the truth. I had just parked the Maserati outside her office. A $250,000 surprise. Deep red like the lipstick she used to wear just for me. Back when I was more than just a placeholder in her glamorous charade. 2 hours earlier, I had signed the last document for the lease, ready to surprise her with the car she always dreamt of. But fate doesn't wait. Neither does betrayal. She didn't see me when I walked into the marble lobby. But I saw her. And him. Jonas Sterling. The billionaire CEO. Her boss. The silver-haired shark with a taste for married playthings. And my wife? Aubrey. The woman I once believed was my forever. She was leaning into him like gravity had changed. Laughing too hard. Touching his chest. A glance, a bite of the lip. Every move screamed something you only do when you think no one's watching. Except I was. Right there. Watching. With a damn Maserati key in my hand, and a smile frozen on my face like an idiot. Then I heard it. He said it clear as day, like it was nothing. You think your pathetic pawn of a husband suspects anything? My stomach folded in on itself. She smirked. Please. He still thinks our kids are his. That sentence. That one F asterisk 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 ing sentence broke me. Like someone opened my chest, reached in, and crushed whatever heart was left. 3 kids. All 3. Not mine. Not even one. And I just dropped $250,000 on a car for her. To surprise her? I left without confronting them. Not then. I drove. Just drove. Back roads. Hands trembling. Eyes burning. My brain was white noise and gasoline. Somewhere near the coast, I finally stopped and screamed like an animal. Punched the steering wheel until my knuckles bled. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't believe. I was a joke. A walking joke. She called me that night. Her voice sweet. Fake. Soaked in poison honey. Hey babe, how was your day? Mine was lone. I'm exhausted. Can't wait to see the surprise you've been teasing. I almost told her. Almost said it all. But something darker held me back. No. This wasn't going to end in a shouting match. This was going to end in ashes. Instead, I said, tomorrow. You'll see. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't cry either. I wrote. I wrote out everything I had ever done for her. Every sacrifice. Every birthday I planned. Every hospital visit. Every damn school form I signed thinking I was their dad. And then I made calls. To my lawyer. To a private investigator. To my old friend, Mitch, who owes me more than a favor. The next morning, she woke up to roses. A note. A Maserati in the driveway. She gasped. She faked tears. Oh my God, Tyler. You're insane. This is crazy. I love you. She kissed me. I wanted to vomit. But I smiled. Let's take it for a ride tonight. Just us. She said yes. Of course she did. She thought I was still the same idiot. The same pawn. By sunset, we were on the cliffs. Wind in her hair, stars above. Romantic. Perfect. Then I looked her in the eye. And I said, I spent $250,000 on a Maserati to surprise my wife. Only to find out she called me a pathetic pawn in their twisted scheme. Her billionaire boss fathered all 3 of our kids. Her smile cracked. Her world began to shift. I didn't give her time to deny it. Now my ruthless attorney is dragging him through court, and he'll bleed money until the grave. The moment I unleashed my revenge, your world shattered into pieces. And this is just the beginning. She stammered. No, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I cut her off. You made me a clown. I'm just returning the favor. With interest. She cried. Finally. Not because she was sorry, but because she lost. And I hadn't even told her the rest yet. Next part? The real discovery. Where everything started to rot. You want in? Buckle up. This only gets darker. The truth doesn't always hit you like a truck. Sometimes, it leaks in slow, venomous drops. Looking back now, the signs were everywhere. I wasn't blind. Just hopeful. Too hopeful. It started about a year before the Maserati. Little things, really. Aubrey started spending more time at the office. Deadlines, meetings, after-hours dinners. She started dressing like someone auditioning for a Victoria's Secret commercial for spreadsheet work. Perfume that cost more than my suit. Heels she couldn't walk in, but damn if she didn't try. I remember asking her once, jokingly, "You dressing up for PowerPoint slides now?" She smirked. Just trying to keep things professional. You know how corporate is. And I, the idiot, nodded. Right. Totally. Then came the password changes. She used to leave her phone everywhere, unlocked, buzzing, harmless. Then one day, it was glued to her hand like a second skin. Face down, notifications off, never left alone. She claimed it was because of work security. I told myself she was just being careful. I even believed her when she said Jonas Sterling, the boss billionaire, was just a cold old man with no soul. But then came the weird expenses. A hotel charge in Miami when she was supposed to be in Chicago. Dinner for two at the Ritz, $580. During a weekend, she told me she was at her mom's. I remember confronting her about it. "Who's Derek?" I asked. The name was on the receipt. She barely flinched. "Oh, Jonah's assistant. We took him out for his birthday. Big client dinner. I forgot to tell you." Her eyes didn't twitch. Her voice didn't crack. She had mastered lying the way artists master brush strokes, flawlessly. But the final crack came 2 months before the Maserati. It was a Tuesday night. Our youngest, Parker, had a fever. I stayed home from work to take care of him. She said she had a networking event downtown. She left wearing that red dress I bought her 3 anniversaries ago. Tight, short, shimmering under the hallway light. I remember her perfume lingered in the room like smoke after a fire. An hour later, Parker fell asleep. I went into our shared office to print a report. Her laptop was there. Open. Normally, I'd never check. I believed in privacy. In trust. But that night, something pulled me. One click. That's all it took. An open email thread titled, J plus Red Angel. The first message was just a photo. Her. On a hotel bed. In that red dress. Laughing. Her legs wrapped around Jonah like vines on a tree. No shame. No hesitation. Just pure betrayal. I clicked through more. Can't wait to sneak away again. You're the real father to these kids. He doesn't even suspect. I stopped breathing. Literally. I had to sit down because the floor started to move. She'd been sleeping with him for years. Years. And those 3 children, my children, were just pieces of a fantasy she played out with her billionaire boss while I worked overtime to pay for their ing ballet lessons. I closed the laptop and walked outside. Just sat on the porch. Cold night. Stars bright. Silence so loud it screamed. The next morning, I made coffee like nothing happened. I kissed her cheek when she walked into the kitchen. She didn't flinch. Didn't know. But I knew. That's when everything inside me snapped into place. This wasn't going to be an emotional meltdown. This was going to be calculated. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to destroy her, quietly, elegantly, completely. I smiled at her that morning and said, "Thinking of doing something big for your birthday." She laughed and kissed my neck. "You always know how to spoil me." And I thought, "Not yet, sweetheart. But soon. Soon, you'll know exactly what I'm capable of." From the outside, our lives looked perfect. The kind of marriage people envy. 3 beautiful kids, a house with a wraparound porch, vacations twice a year, and a wife who never stopped smiling. But behind that white picket facade, I was building something else. A trap so cold and calculated, even she wouldn't see it coming. After finding the emails, I didn't confront her right away. That would have been too easy. Too quick. No, Aubrey had played a long game. And now it was my turn to play one of my own. I started small. Subtle. Every night, I backed up everything on her laptop. Emails, documents, photos, texts. I even installed a tracker she never noticed. My lawyer, Kevin Raines, the best divorce attorney in the state, told me, "We don't just win cases, Tyler. We bury people." And that's exactly what I plan to do. The next week, I got a private DNA test done for all 3 kids. That was the hardest part. Holding little Parker's hand as they swabbed his cheek, knowing that the result might confirm my worst fear. 2 weeks later, I opened the envelope. Not a single match. I sat on the edge of the bed, the letter in one hand, a photo of me teaching Parker to ride a bike in the other. My throat felt tight. My chest was on fire. 3 kids. 3 betrayals. All mine in heart, but never in blood. That night, Aubrey came home smelling like wine and lavender, her usual mix when she was lying. She kissed me on the forehead and said, "I love you." I smiled back. I started playing a part, acting like the same dumb, clueless husband she believed I was. Every morning, I'd pack the kids' lunches with a fake smile, wave her off to work, and make calls the second the door closed. Kevin launched financial audits. Mitch installed hidden cameras in our home office. And my PI? He tailed Jonah Sterling like a bloodhound. Within days, we had footage of them sneaking into luxury hotels, slipping into the back entrance of a private villa, even laughing about me during a rooftop dinner in Manhattan. "He's still kissing your feet while I own your soul," Jonah said, toasting champagne. I watched the clip in silence. Every word was another nail in the coffin. Then came her birthday. I spent weeks planning it. Booked a private venue. Hired a string quartet. Flew in her best friends. She had no clue it was a setup. The night of the party, she wore a silk champagne dress. I could see it in her eyes, that glint of pride, that smug smile. To her, this was just another celebration of how perfectly she had me wrapped around her finger. But I had one final gift. As dessert was served, I clinked my glass and stood. "Before we bring out the cake," I said, "I want to share something special with everyone." The lights dimmed. A screen dropped down behind us. And then, the footage began to play. Gasps filled the room. Aubrey froze. Her smile collapsed into pure horror. There she was, tangled with Jonah in a hotel bed. Laughing, whispering, calling me a loser. Then the emails. Then the DNA results. Then Jonah's voice. "He's nothing but a pathetic pawn." By the end of the video, you could hear a pin drop. Aubrey stood there, pale as death. I looked her in the eye and said, "Happy birthday, sweetheart. Consider this the start of your farewell tour." She tried to speak, but no words came. Only silence. And as I walked out of that room, past her trembling hands and frozen face, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Power. Real, unshakable power. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because the court case? That was just getting started. The day we walked into court, she wore white. White. Like that could cleanse what she'd done. Her lawyer was some Beverly Hills clown in a $5,000 suit and a spray tan. A guy who looked like he spent more time on Instagram than in actual courtrooms. Meanwhile, Kevin Raines walked in like he owned the damn building. Gray suit, black tie, ice in his veins. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. I sat there calm, controlled, while Aubrey kept glancing at me like she still couldn't believe I'd actually gone through with it. She really thought I'd roll over. She had no idea who I was when I wasn't pretending to be her fool. The judge asked if we'd consider settling. Aubrey's lawyer leaned in and whispered something, and then she looked at me with that fake soft voice I once fell for. "Ty, maybe we can be civil about this." I didn't say a word. Kevin spoke for me. "We have evidence that Mrs. Moore committed marital fraud, misrepresentation of paternity, and financial misconduct. We're requesting full financial reimbursement and custody proceedings based on those findings." The room went silent. Aubrey's face drained of color. She looked at me like she was finally seeing the storm she created. And it was too damn late. Kevin brought out the files like a magician. Page after page. Emails, surveillance photos, timestamps, DNA results, even a wire transfer Jonah had made to her for personal expenses. The judge's expression turned to stone. When the footage played again, the same one from her birthday party, Aubrey's lawyer whispered, "We should stop this." She hissed, "Shut up." Even now, in front of a federal judge, she couldn't let go of control. It was pathetic. She still thought this was a chessboard, and she was queen. But her king was nowhere to be found. Jonah didn't show. Of course he didn't. He sent a statement through his own legal team claiming no knowledge of paternity and no comment on the relationship. Coward. The judge paused the session and asked for a recess. That's when she came up to me in the hallway. "You're blowing this way out of proportion, Tyler. I made mistakes, sure, but we can work something out. You love those kids." She said it like love was a bargaining chip, like she hadn't detonated our entire life. I stepped closer, looked her dead in the eyes. "You're right. I did love them. I still do. But loving them didn't mean lying to them. You did that. Not me." She tried to reach for my arm. I pulled back like she was poison. "Do you even know what it feels like to raise 3 kids with your whole heart, only to find out they were just leverage in someone else's power game?" She didn't answer, because she couldn't. The rest of the day was a bloodbath. Kevin filed motion after motion. Asset freeze. Property division. Retroactive child support from Jonah Sterling. It wasn't just about money. It was about accountability. About dragging the two of them into the light where their masks melted off. Aubrey sat stiff in her chair while the walls closed in. Her voice cracked when she spoke. Her hands shook. By the time we left that courthouse, she had lost the beach house, the trust fund, and 80% of her monthly spending limit. And that was just the beginning. Because now, The world knew. The media got hold of the story. Billionaire CEO implicated in paternity fraud scandal. Wife of local businessman caught in affair with employer. DNA bombshell in high-stakes divorce battle. She went viral in the worst way. Her world wasn't just cracking. It was collapsing. And I was just getting warmed up. 2 days after the courtroom massacre, she came crawling. Literally. I was drinking coffee in the kitchen when I heard the knock. Not the kind you hear from a confident woman. This was a soft, broken tap, like guilt had weight, and it pressed her fingers down. I opened the door, and there she was. Makeup smeared. Hair unwashed. Wearing one of my old hoodies like nostalgia could save her now. Can we talk? I stared at her. Silent. Because what do you say to the woman who sold your trust for a taste of power? She walked in without waiting for permission, just like she used to, like the place still belonged to her. I know everything's crazy right now, she started, sitting at the edge of the couch like she didn't want to stain it. But I didn't plan for this to happen. Not like this. That line. Not like this. It's always what liars say when the consequences finally catch up. Like the betrayal was fine, until the fallout began. She kept going. Jonah made promises. He said he'd leave his wife. He told me we'd be together. And you were just always so safe. So predictable. I almost laughed. Safe. Predictable? She said it like it was a crime. Like loyalty and responsibility were sins. And the kids? I asked. My voice calm. Flat. Were they just part of the deal? She looked away. That silence said more than any confession. Do they know? I asked again. She shook her head quickly. God, no. Tyler, please, don't tell them yet. They think you're their dad. You are their dad. Blood doesn't. I cut her off. You made sure they were his. You chose that. For years. You sat at our dinner table, tucked them in, kissed me goodnight, and every second, you knew. Tears welled up. Real or fake. I didn't care anymore. Her crying couldn't rewind time. She dropped to her knees in front of me. Please. I don't care about the money. The house. Jonah. I made a mistake. I messed up. I was stupid. But don't take the kids away from me. Don't ruin them because of what I did. I leaned down, face level with hers. I'm not the one who ruined them. And then I stood up and walked away. Left her there, on the floor, sobbing into the silence of the life she destroyed. Later that day, I met with Kevin and Mitch. Mitch had more footage, newer, darker. Turns out, Jonah wasn't just her lover. He was using her to manipulate our company's insider information. Emails between them discussing market strategy, investor timing, even project leaks, all traced through her work laptop, tied directly to my business operations. It wasn't just adultery anymore. It was corporate espionage. Kevin's grin could have frozen lava. We don't just get custody now, he said. We get everything. You'll own her soul by next week. The next morning, I filed for emergency guardianship. The judge granted it, pending full custody hearings. The kid stayed with me. And Aubrey? She was served a restraining order and a financial hold. She had to move into a studio apartment across town. No nanny. No luxury. No Jonah. His PR team cut her off the second the headlines hit. She tried calling. Dozens of times. I blocked her. She tried showing up at the school. Security turned her away. She wasn't just losing. She was crumbling. The woman who once walked through life like the world owed her something was now watching her empire burn, one lie at a time. And I wasn't done yet. Because next, the world would hear my side of the story. Unfiltered. Undeniable. It was time I stopped being the victim and started being the voice that I never wanted fame. But when your life becomes a scandal headline and your children are used like pawns in a billionaire's twisted game, silence becomes a sin. It started with a podcast. A friend of mine, Leo Carmichael, runs a popular show called This Is War. Usually he covers stories of betrayal in business, but when I told him mine, he asked just one thing. Are you ready for the whole world to hear it? I was. So we recorded the episode. One take. No filters. No edits. I told the story, all of it. The Maserati. The emails. The fake paternity. The courtroom. Even the footage of Aubrey and Jonah wrapped up like snakes in a penthouse suite. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I told it like a man who had nothing left to hide. By the time it aired, it went viral within 24 hours. CEO's wife betrays husband in shocking triple paternity scandal. Tyler Moore, the husband who exposed a billionaire's affair. Thousands of comments. Support. Outrage. DMs from strangers. Men who'd lived through the same nightmare, but never had the proof, never had the voice. But Aubrey? She went into hiding. Jonah cut her off completely. Frozen bank accounts, ghosted messages, legal distance. His lawyers claim she acted independently and denied any personal relationship beyond professional boundaries. Classic billionaire defense. Throw her under the bus, let the wheels crush her spine, and walk away spotless. Except this time, the bus had cameras. 2 weeks later, my PI leaked footage to the press. More video, more emails, a voice memo where Jonah literally laughed and said, "Tyler's a joke." She could tell him the sun's blue and he'd still believe her. He was wrong. And now his empire was bleeding. Shareholders revolted. Sponsors backed out. He stepped down temporarily from his position, citing stress-related health complications. Translation, he was running scared. Meanwhile, Aubrey's friends dropped her like a contagious disease. No more brunches, no charity galas, no designer handbags sent in PR packages. She went from front-row fashion week to discount racks at strip mall outlets. I heard through the grapevine that she tried to book a segment on a talk show to tell her side. The producers canceled at the last minute. Too toxic, too radioactive. One night, she showed up at the house again. My neighbor called, said she was standing on the sidewalk, just staring. I watched her from the window. She looked like a ghost. Empty eyes, no makeup, hair in a knot, holding something. I stepped outside, mostly for the kids, didn't want them seeing her like that. She handed me a photo. The 5 of us. Christmas. Smiles like weapons. Lies wrapped in tinsel. I didn't know I could lose everything so fast, she whispered. I didn't respond. What was there to say? She knew. She always knew. Can I just hug them? One last time. I shook my head. Not tonight. Not like this. She cried. A whimper more than a sob. Then she walked away barefoot down the street, disappearing into the night like a shadow that had finally lost its shape. Back inside, Parker was asleep on the couch. I covered him with a blanket and sat there, staring at the photo she left. I didn't feel angry anymore. Not even sad. Just done. A chapter closed. A house of lies reduced to rubble. And me? I was standing on the ashes. But I wasn't broken. I was rebuilding. Because the next part of my story, it had nothing to do with her. You know the strange part? After the fire dies down, after the courtroom battles, the public humiliation, the broken trust, the viral chaos, it gets quiet. Not peaceful, just still. There's this eerie silence that creeps in after destruction. A silence that doesn't heal you, but forces you to listen to the pieces rattling inside your own chest. That's where I was. Every day started with the same routine. I'd wake up, make breakfast for the kids, walk them to school, answer business emails, rebuild the company Jonah tried to sink from the inside. And yet, every time I looked in the mirror, I saw a man I didn't quite recognize. Not broken, not bitter, just different. The version of me that once chased approval, who thought buying a Maserati could save a rotting marriage. He was dead, buried in the same grave where I left my old life. What replaced him? A man with clarity. Aubrey tried again. 2 weeks after her ghost-like sidewalk visit, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No envelope. Just folded in half and sealed with tape. It said, "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. But I miss the sound of our house in the morning. I miss hearing the kids laugh. I miss being someone who mattered. I destroyed everything, and I hate myself for it. But if there's a version of this life where I could be allowed to sit across from them someday, just once, I'd give up everything I have left." I didn't respond. Because remorse after exposure isn't redemption. It's just desperation dressed as apology. Instead, I focused on the only people who mattered now, the kids. Telling them the truth was the hardest thing I've ever done. We were in the living room. I knelt down to their level, looked them each in the eyes. "There's something you need to know," I said. And it's going to sound strange. But no matter what I say next, I love you. Nothing can change that. I told them as gently as I could. About Jonah. About the truth. About the tests. Parker cried. Emma sat silent, stunned. Ryan, the oldest, just kept repeating, "But you're still our dad, right?" I pulled them all close. "I'm your dad in every way that matters. Always will be. Blood doesn't change that. Lies don't erase that. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." That moment rewrote everything. All the betrayal, the poison, the pain, it melted under the weight of that hug. I realized something then. Aubrey gave me lies. but they gave me purpose. Kevin wrapped up the final hearings a week later. Full custody. Property secured. Jonah's financial penalty finalized. 6 figures every quarter until the kids turn 18. He tried to hide it in offshore accounts. We found every one. The judge's ruling was public. Jonah's empire took its final hit. He was forced to retire permanently for health reasons. Translation: he was blacklisted from every boardroom that once kissed his ring. As for Aubrey, she vanished from the tabloids. Moved in with a cousin 2 states away. She asked for monitored visitation. The court approved supervised meetups once a month if the kids agreed. They didn't. Not yet. And I didn't push. Some scars need time before they even want to heal. I started therapy. Not for the pain, for the patterns. To stop choosing the same kind of woman wrapped in prettier lies. To learn how to spot the smile that hides the blade. I went back to the gym. Rebuilt my strength. Not to impress anyone. Just to feel like I own my body again. Some nights I still sit on the porch and think about that Maserati. It's long gone now. Sold. But every time I see one, I don't see the car. I see the moment everything broke. And the man who stood up from the wreckage. Different, but whole. And finally free. Freedom's funny. It doesn't come all at once, like some big dramatic moment. It sneaks in slowly. Quietly. One night, you realize your chest doesn't feel like it's being crushed anymore. One morning, you sip your coffee and realize you're not waiting for the next bomb to drop. That's where I was now. It had been 6 months since the courtroom dust settled, since Aubrey's name last showed up in my inbox, on the doorstep, or in the whispers of neighbors. 6 months of rebuilding, relearning, reimagining what life could look like without the lies, the manipulation, the weight of someone who never really saw me as more than a useful distraction. And yet, even after all of that, there was still one final thing I hadn't done. Closure. Not for her. For me. I drove 3 hours one Saturday to meet someone I never thought I'd speak to again. Jonah Sterling. His new office wasn't in a glass tower or some sleek tech compound. It was a quiet, rented space behind a golf club, a downgrade so severe it almost looked like punishment. His assistant barely made eye contact when she let me in. He looked older. Smaller. Like guilt had started to shrink his bones. "Tyler," he said. "Didn't expect to see you." I sat down across from him. "This won't take long." He leaned back in his chair, trying to wear that same smug expression he always had. But it was cracked now. Thin. Desperate. "You've taken everything," he said. "What else do you want?" I slid a folder across the table. Inside, a final agreement. A private fund. Not for me, for the kids. Locked. Untouchable by anyone, even me. To be released only when each turned 21. He looked at it, scanned the details. "You're not asking for anything for yourself?" I shook my head. "You already gave me everything I needed. You exposed her. You gave me the truth. And you reminded me that I will never, ever be anyone's pawn again." He signed it. Didn't even flinch. Maybe he was tired. Maybe he knew this was the only decent thing he'd ever do in this entire mess. When I walked out of that building, I felt something unexplainable. Not victory. Not revenge. Peace. It didn't come from destroying them. It came from building something stronger after. Weeks passed. The air felt lighter. The kids started laughing more. Their eyes had that sparkle again, the one I thought Aubrey had stolen forever. One night, Ryan knocked on my office door. "Dad," he said, "can I ask something?" I nodded. "When you found out, why didn't you leave us too?" I swallowed hard. That question hit deep. Because love isn't about blood, or betrayal, or mistakes other people make. Love is about staying when it's hard. And I don't run from the people I love. He hugged me, tighter than usual. That's when I knew I hadn't lost a family. I'd just uncovered the real one beneath the lies. A few weeks later, I finally did something for myself. I booked a solo trip. Greece. No plans. No distractions. No memories tied to anyone else. And on a beach at sunset, drink in hand, toes in the sand, I realized I made it out. Not the same man who walked into that Maserati dealership thinking a car could fix a crumbling marriage. Not the man who once believed every "I love you" from a mouth trained to deceive. I was someone new. Tested. Tempered. Alive. So if you're reading this, if you've been there, or you're there now, hear this. You don't need to burn for someone else's fire. You don't need to stay broken just because someone dropped you. Walk away. Light your own match. And build something beautiful from the ashes. Because freedom isn't given. It's taken.